So you've used a self-checkout, right? Of course you have. But if you ever stop to think about what's really going on behind that screen, while you're just trying to scan your groceries, there's this hidden, high-stakes technological battle happening. It's pretty wild. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold question, I know, but it really gets to the core of this weird modern dilemma. I mean, think about it. Why do people who would never in a million years consider themselves shoplifters suddenly start, bending the rules a little? All because they're dealing with a machine and not a person. What's that about?
And look, these machines, they were supposed to make our lives easier, right? Just get in, get out, total convenience. But, well, they kind of accidentally open up a whole new can of worms. They become ground zero in this high-tech cat and mouse game between stores and, well, a surprisingly new kind of shoplifter.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the main dilemma. Then, we'll dive into the psychology behind it all. After that, we'll see how AI is fighting back, peek into the future of prevention, and wrap up with the high-stakes balancing act that's going on.
Okay, so it really all boils down to a simple trade-off. See, retailers, they want to give us speed, they want to give us control, but that exact same freedom, it creates this massive opportunity for theft. And we're talking both accidental slip-ups and, the intentional kind.
And believe me, this isn't some small, minor issue. We've got data from NCR. They're a huge name in checkout tech, and they say theft at self-checkouts can be up to 5 times higher than at a traditional cashier lane. 5 times! That's a massive number. Retailers absolutely cannot just let that slide.
You've probably heard of the most famous example, what people in the biz call the banana trick. It's so simple, right? You've got an expensive steak, but you scan the barcode for a cheap banana. The machine, for the longest time, had no idea, or at least it didn't used to. But that really begs a bigger question. Why do people even do this? And to get that answer, we got to dive into the psychology of it all.
Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. Because we're not talking about some hardened career criminals here. Nope, we're talking about everyday people, your neighbors, maybe even you or me. So what is going on inside our heads that makes this happen?
Well, psychologists have a name for it, neutralization theory. It's basically this idea that even if you think stealing is wrong, and most of us do, you can find these clever little ways to just turn off your moral compass for a minute. You create these mental loopholes, these justifications, so you don't have to feel guilty.
And these justifications probably sound pretty familiar. It's so easy to think, this huge corporation, they won't even notice a few bucks. Psychologists call that denial of injury. Or how about this one? Hey, I'm basically doing an employee's job here, so I'm just giving myself a little discount. That's called denial of the victim. You can blame the machine, you can say you're doing it for your family. Whatever it is, it's these little stories we tell ourselves that make a wrong thing feel, well, not so wrong in the moment. So retailers are looking at this huge, complicated problem, and they're turning to a powerful new weapon. How do you fight theft that's enabled by machines? Well, you fight it with even smarter machines. For the longest time, the only defense was that dreaded weight scale. You know the one? Unexpected item and bagging area. It was clunky, super easy to trick, and just so annoying for the rest of us just trying to buy our stuff. But now, AI-powered computer vision is changing the game. It's way smarter, way more accurate, and get this, it cuts down on those infuriating false alarms by more than 70%. And here's a peek at how it actually works. So on one side, you've got the shopper, and they've left some stuff in the cart. On the other side, you see what the AI sees. And let's be clear, it's not using facial recognition. It's just analyzing actions and objects. It's looking for the motion of something, bypassing the scanner, and it flags it instantly.
The whole process is actually pretty slick. The AI sees a potential misscan, say that steak we talked about is still in the cart. It zips a quiet alert over to an employee's handheld device. That employee can then just casually walk over and say something like, "Hey there, looks like the scanner might have missed that last item." It's subtle, it's not accusatory, and man, is it effective.
But believe it or not, computer vision is really just a beginning. The next wave of this tech sounds like something straight out of science fiction. I'm talking about researchers trying to give stores the ability to basically see through walls, or, bags and backpacks.
So this new tech is based on RFID, radio frequency identification. The core idea is pretty genius. A signal from a tagged item changes just a little bit, depending on what it passes through. So by analyzing those subtle changes, a system can actually learn to tell if an item is just sitting in a cart or if it's been stuffed into a backpack or a jacket pocket. And check this out. The early results are kinda mind-blowing.
The system can spot an item in a cardboard box with over 96% accuracy. And even for something tricky like a backpack, it's still right almost 80% of the time. This is a total game changer. We're talking about stores being able to detect theft before someone even gets to the exit.
So when you put it all together, all this tech forces retailers into this really delicate, high-stakes balancing act, right? They've got to stop the bleeding from theft to protect their bottom line, but they absolutely cannot do it by making the shopping experience miserable for everyone else. And when you see the numbers, you realize just how enormous the stakes really are.
Let's talk numbers. A study by Forrester found that this AI can recoup, on average, $88,000 in stolen goods per store every single year.
And that adds up to an absolutely insane return on investment. The study pegged it at a whopping 374%.
Zoom out to a major retailer, and the net profit impact is over $31 million in just 3 years. I mean, the business case here isn't just strong, it's a slam dunk.
And this quote from a VP of Asset Protection really just nails it. They say if you're not using some kind of self-learning AI at your checkouts, you're taking a major hit to your profit margins. In other words, in today's retail world, this technology isn't a nice-to-have anymore, it's essential.
And that brings us to the big final question. Look, this technology is powerful. It's effective. It is absolutely reshaping how stores handle security and, really, how we shop. But as these AI systems get better and better at watching us, at analyzing our every move, it leaves one really critical question hanging in the air. Who exactly is watching the AI?